For you to run the state, you run the country, you need a bit of experience. It's not about punching computer or any smart device. The problem in Africa is our electoral system. People manipulate the elections to be there by all means. If we are doing proper elections and if you are not doing well, people will vote you out. We will not even ask these questions. Because those who are not doing well, the population will vote them out. But in this case, people use government instruments to perpetuate themselves in power, even when the people don't want them. Why it appears like a country like in Nigeria, why it appears as if it is the political offices, that is the only business in the country. Where the economy is doing well and young people will find jobs or find businesses that will do, most of them in politics will not even go for politics.
We're very disappointed in the ruling of the court. I herself very much fancy the National Assembly. I am the primary representative of Nnamdi KANU. We're very disappointed in the ruling of the court today, where especially the court took a position that the extraordinary rendition was not going to be part of the consideration today. But he, however, to be fair to him, said if we can prove that there were extraordinary rendition, then that would change his consideration. So we are coming back. I've been assured by the lawyers that they are coming back to show that proof. One, the issue of jurisdiction. We will now know whether this court has jurisdiction or not. That's number one. Then number two, there seems, I keep saying it, there seems to be two set of rules in this country. One for the Igbo man and the other one for every other Nigerian. Where every other Nigerian gets a reprieve, the Igbo man would not get a reprieve. You look at even the issue of the health situation of our brother. There have been many circumstances where people have been given opportunities to go and seek medical care, yet Nnamdi KANU is denied. Even the president, at every consideration, the president goes overseas to take care of himself. He doesn't even subject himself to Nigerian medical attention. So it is very wrong for them to deny Nnamdi, who the doctors have laid clear evidences that he's having insufficiencies, organ insufficiencies. And what is the government waiting for? For him to die? And then the circumstances will now be brought up again? So, but for the Igbos, I'm more disappointed with the Igbos. The political leadership of the Igbo land, the spiritual and otherwise concerned, are keeping quiet, extraordinarily quiet, on the issue of Nnamdi KANU. Especially when it is shown that when it concerns to others, especially in the north, the government is negotiating with terrorists, non-terrorists, dressed up with guns and various ammunitions. And yet they have not proved that Nnamdi KANU is a terrorist. So it is up for Igbos to now rise up to ensure that we come in total defense of our brother and ensure that, especially in the administration of criminal justice, that he is not being marginalized. So Igbos should rise up for once and to say that all the spectacle, that enough is enough.
Excuse me. Nigerian Medical Council, now listen. The Nigerian Medical Council, you people examined Nnamdi KANU on, that was 3 days ago.
Yes.
And the report will have it, where you people said that the report given by AJ did not even capture the entire health condition of Nnamdi KANU. You discovered more. That you people should not doctor that report, because court has ordered that you people should bring that report to court. We know what is happening in Nigeria, because now that it involves Nnamdi KANU and the Igbos, they may force you people or may intimidate you people, because we learned that the SSS are even trying to intimidate eminent Professor Emeritus, Professor AJ, who has been a provost College of Medicine, University of Nigeria, who has been a dean. His medical record is here, and somebody that is not even a consultant is questioning the report given by AJ. Now the team, you people constituted Nnamdi KANU, that was 3 days ago, and the DSSS, and Nnamdi KANU subjected himself. We have that report. That report, as people have it, provide it in court. Having said that, now what gave rise to this particular issue of medical council is the petition I personally submitted against Dr. Mohammed Nasiru from DSSS, the doctor that never examined Nnamdi KANU, but he decided to depose falsely on oath. 37 paragraph affidavit. I submitted that petition. It was on that basis that Attorney General ordered the medical council to constitute a different board. We have been following it up, and that petition must be heard. And Dr. Nasiru should be, when his license as a medical doctor, if he is, should be withdrawn. I, Chief Barrister Maxwell Opera PhD, is submitting. It should be there. Just like what Honorable said, I'm highly disappointed to my fellow Igbo people.
Oh my God.
Nnamdi KANU is suffering this because he's an Igbo.
Yes.
We must say it.
Yes.
I didn't mean that Nnamdi KANU is from the north or from the southwest. He wouldn't have been there by now. And everybody's keeping quiet. Both the religious leaders, both the political leaders, both those in diaspora. Nothing is happening. You feel that this Nnamdi KANU that is existing. I'm not disappointed. So the judge said that. The judge said that he's not aware of extraordinary rendition. We are taking it like that. We are going to bring a formal application. We are going to attach all the whole judgment given by even Kenya. The country said that yes, our country did not do well. Now Malami is he has turned activist. The Malami that comes in, he has turned activist. He's now in opposition. As you are doing anything, remember that you cannot be in government forever. Yes, tomorrow. That's my message to you. Thank you.
And finally, hold on. And finally, to conclude everything, it is despicable. We take a serious exception to the fact that the doctor that examined Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi KANU, emeritus professor of medicine, well renowned all over the world, that someone from the government side reported him to the Nigerian Medical Association, and he was summoned to Lagos to face a panel, all because he returned the truthful diagnosis on Mazi Nnamdi KANU. So this persecution knows no bounds. We are wondering when they are going to come after the lawyers as well. They are now going after the doctors. The idea that the doctor, the primary physician for Mazi Nnamdi KANU, chosen by him, is being intimidated by the government is despicable. The primary goal of everybody should be the health condition of Mazi Nnamdi KANU, not the intimidation of anybody that brings the truth before the authorities. The doctor is a witness of truth, and on that truth we shall stand. Mazi Nnamdi KANU's health condition is very paramount, and everybody should go out there and talk about it. You cannot stand trial if you are not healthy. Thank you very much.
I want to say something very important, because I'm thinking that this ruling favors us. To some extent, the judge said that there is no evidence of extraordinary rendition before him. That is the case of jurisdiction. He has said it. Yes. So we are not entering the fence until the court determines it. Whether he has jurisdiction or not. So the court has given us a hint. We are going to find it and bring the evidence that the court has. Once it discovers that it does not have a jurisdiction, the court has no jurisdiction. So let us go with the hope in our heart that the door is not closed. Very, very well.
Where? We are very disappointed in the ruling of the court. Myself, very much fancy. The National Assembly. I am the primary representative of Mazi Nnamdi KANU. We are very disappointed in the ruling of the court today, where especially the court took a position that the extraordinary rendition was not going to be part of the consideration today. But he, however, to be fair to him, said if we can prove that there were extraordinary rendition, then that will change his consideration. So we are coming back. I've been assured by the lawyers that they are coming back to show that proof. One, the issue of jurisdiction. We will now know whether this court has jurisdiction or not. That's number one. Then number two, I keep saying it, there seems to be two sets of rules in this country. One for the Igbo man and the other one for every other Nigerian. Where every other Nigerian gets a reprieve, the Igbo man would not get a reprieve. You look at even the issue of the health situation of our brother. There have been many circumstances where people have been given opportunities to go and seek medical care, yet Nnamdi KANU is denied. Even the president, at every consideration, the president goes overseas to take care of himself. He doesn't even subject himself to Nigerian medical attention. So it is very wrong for them to deny Nnamdi, who the doctors have laid clear evidences that he's having insufficiencies, organ insufficiencies. And what is the government waiting for? For him to die? And then the circumstances will now be brought up again? So, but for the Igbos, I'm more disappointed with the Igbos. The political leadership of the Igbo land, the spiritual and otherwise concerned, are keeping quiet, extraordinarily quiet, on the issue of Nnamdi KANU. Especially when it is shown that when it concerns to others, especially in the north, the government is negotiating with terrorists, non-terrorists, dressed up with guns and various ammunition, and yet they have not proved that Nnamdi KANU is a terrorist. So it is up for Igbos to now rise up to ensure that we come in total defense of our brother and ensure that, especially in the administration of criminal justice, that he is not being marginalized. So Igbos should rise up for once and to say that all the spectacle, that enough is enough.
Excuse me. Nigerian Medical Council, now listen. The Nigerian Medical Council, you people examined Nnamdi KANU on, that was 3 days ago.
Yes.
And the report will have it, where you people said that the report given by AJ did not even capture the entire health condition of Nnamdi KANU. You discovered more. That you people should not doctor that report, because court has ordered that you people should bring that report to court. We know what is happening in Nigeria, because now that it involves Nnamdi KANU and the Igbos, they may force you people or may intimidate you people, because we learned that the SSS are even trying to intimidate eminent Professor Emeritus, Professor AJ, who has been a provost College of Medicine, University of Nigeria, who has been a dean. His medical record is here, and somebody that is not even a consultant is questioning the report given by AJ. Now the team, you people constituted, met Nnamdi KANU, that was 3 days ago, at the DSSS, and Nnamdi KANU subjected himself. We have that report. That report, as people have it, provide it in court. Having said that, now, what gave rise to this particular issue of medical council is the petition I personally submitted against Dr. Mohammed Nasiru from DSSS, the doctor that never examined Nnamdi KANU, but he decided to depose falsely on oath. That 7 paragraph affidavit. I submitted that petition. It was on that basis that Attorney General ordered the medical council to constitute a different board. We have been following it up, and that petition must be heard. And the Dr. Nasiru should be, when his license as a medical doctor, if he is, should be withdrawn. I, Chief Barrister Maxwell Opa PhD, is submitting. We should be there. Just like what Honorable said, I'm highly supported to my fellow Igbo people.
Oh my God.
Nnamdi KANU is suffering this because he's an Igbo.
Yes.
We must say it.
Yes.
I didn't mean that Nnamdi KANU is from the north or from the south or southwest. You wouldn't have been there by now. And everybody's keeping quiet. Both the religious leaders, both the political leaders, both those in diaspora. Nothing is happening. You feel that this Nnamdi KANU that is existing. I'm not disappointed. So the judge said that. The judge said that he's not aware of extraordinary rendition. We are taking it like that. We are going to bring a formal application. We are going to attach all the whole judgment given by even Kenya. The country said that yes, our country did not do well. Now Malami is he has turned activist. The Malami that comes in, he has turned activist. He's now in opposition. As you are doing anything, remember that you cannot be in government forever.
Yes.
Tomorrow. That's my message to you. Thank you.
And finally, hold on. And finally, to conclude everything, it is despicable. We take a serious exception to the fact that the doctor that examined Onyendu Nnamdi KANU, emeritus professor of medicine, well renowned all over the world, that someone from the government side reported him to the Nigerian Medical Association, and he was summoned to Lagos to face a panel, all because he returned the truthful diagnosis on Nnamdi KANU. So this persecution knows no bounds. We are wondering when they are going to come after the lawyers as well. They are now going after the doctors. The idea that the doctor, the primary physician of Nnamdi KANU, chosen by him, is being intimidated by the government is despicable. The primary goal of everybody should be the health condition of Nnamdi KANU, not the intimidation of anybody that brings the truth before the authorities. The doctor is a witness of truth, and on that truth we shall stand. Nnamdi KANU's health condition is very paramount, and everybody should go out there and talk about it. You cannot stand trial if you are not healthy. Thank you very much.
I want to say something very important, because I'm thinking that this ruling favors us. To some extent, the judge said that there is no evidence of ordinary rendition before him. That is the case of jurisdiction. He has said it. Yes. So we are not entering the first until the court determines it. Whether he has jurisdiction or not. So the court has given us a hint. We are going to find it and bring the evidence that the court has. Once it discovers that it does not have a jurisdiction, has no jurisdiction. So let us go with the hope in our heart that the door is not closed.
Very, very well.
Where do you take a man from fourth position to number one? Which law? Which document did you see? No, I don't get it. That always every man became governor. How? Look at the Rivers case. When it was on the side of Wiki to seek that the local government election was nullified, the Supreme Court was very fast. They took this. When it was on the side of when we saw, Nigerians saw, the video is still online, that the State House of Assembly, loyal to Yesim Wiki, they camped to the APC. What did the judiciary do? The judiciary looked for a way to make sure that thing didn't work. Said that their name was not found on the register of the party, or they do not have membership card. And then they came back. When the president declared state of emergency under section 305, it would have been his right to declare state of emergency, put soldiers there, check security. But the president who was elected by the people, who based on the Supreme Court judgment, and the governor who was also elected by the people, and also based on the Supreme Court pronouncement too, the president removed the governor, suspending him from office for 6 months. A case was brought by interested parties, the PDP governors. For 162 days, the Supreme Court refused to hear the case. You know why? Because they know that there's no way they will hear the case, that the decision of the president will not be faulted. There's no way. They are aware. So for that reason, they are more interested that this illegality persists. They are more happy that the president's decision goes through without any challenge. So who is going to call the Supreme Court to order? It's the people. And you look at the Supreme Court today, the decisions that they are taking, how is it working? Mike was on one of the Chinese television yesterday. He said that Toyeko came to his house to ask him to help him with Supreme Court judgment. His Wike is a Supreme Court judge, that somebody will come and help him or to fund him. If he said the man came to him to give him money to fund the Supreme Court judgment, it's a different thing. We were here when the serving senator sitting in the red chamber said that some senator used to come and meet him because his wife was the Court of Appeal president. No country in the world succeed when you have a bias and a weak judiciary. That people, there's perception. People want to talk about, have you caught these people with money? You look at the situation where America is stopping not giving visa to send judges because they feel they are corrupt. And you feel that it's good, that we should just know what is America that is doing it. You don't know the data that America has, you don't know the information they have. When the Supreme Court can just sit down and take these decisions without looking at the effect, long-term effect on our economic and political life. Nobody I was with very big investors who were talking about the man is investing in Ghana. And I asked him why. He said, I had 4 cases in Ghana. I went to court. The cases are not even as clear as the one I had in Nigeria. I won all of them. But the one that was clear, 90% clear in Nigeria, I lost it. 1. So why will I invest my money here? So Supreme Court, the perception that people see becomes their reality. So people are afraid of putting their money where the security check that only they have is the Supreme Court, is the appeal court, is our federal high court, our state high court. So it's clear that we have a challenge. And if we are aware that we have a challenge, the best thing we can do to make sure that this challenge does not consume all of us is for people to have a rethink. Today we talk about Justice Toputa. We're talking about him every day. Even when there was crisis in this country and they were trying to say to look for who had discipline, who has character, they brought him as a Toputa panel. I don't know why people don't want to live their life. See, it was on TV. Said that there's a plot for Tinubu to appoint one of the former Court of Appeal judges as INEC chairman. That should have been an happy thing for all of us. You understand? Because a judge in a INEC chairman would have been the best thing. But why are they shouting? They say allegedly that the judge that is being proposed is a very corrupt official, judicial official. So these are the issue. Because if Nigerians would have been rejoicing, the man will know the law. The man will understand the intricate and dynamics of Nigerian politician. But nobody is thinking of that. People are thinking of the corruption. They think it's perception. We look at the Orumolo Abiwo, the former chief judge of the chief judge of the federation, who was given the contested job for accountancy was given to his brother. His children were given a position on the bench. So these are, you can't now run a judiciary that is now driven to nepotism, tribalism, corruption, and all sorts of negative tendencies. And you expect the country to survive? We have a challenge, and that challenge is that we must start to clean up the judiciary.
Yeah, sure.
Just want sorry. It's not a photo shoot now.
I'm just going to put
we just need a clarification on the ruling on the NMA. What exactly was the position of the court on that for the benefit of that? Was it dismissed? Was it rejected? Or what are we supposed to take out of it?
Well, the ruling is simply requires Nnamdi KANU, the defendant, to enter his defense. It's not a pronunciation of guilt or not guilty. So that is why it's called a no-case submission. So the judge made a ruling that there's a prima facie evidence that needs to be explained. So in common parlance, it calls on him to come and mount his own defense. But there is the other aspect of the ruling that concerned extraordinary rendition. That very one is one that compounded us, because the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi KANU is so open and notorious. 2 international institutions or 2 separate panels of the United Nations have made pronouncements regarding his extraordinary rendition and called for his unconditional release. Nigeria is a member of the United Nations and therefore bound to consider that and implement that decision. And in Nigeria here, 3 courts have made similar pronouncements. First was by the Federal High Court of Umahia, which awarded him 500 million naira. And the Court of Appeal also pronounced that he was a victim of extraordinary rendition. And in the Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court that sent this case back to trial reached the same conclusion, that he was a victim of extraordinary rendition. And all these things are of the record. They are all in the file. And we remember when this trial was being conducted, these very documents were tendered in evidence. So it compounded us, it confused us, that the court now made a pronouncement that the extraordinary rendition had no evidence before the court, that no evidence of it was submitted before the court. And you remember, least but not the last, recently a Kenyan High Court made the same pronouncement. But well, if the court was misled by believing by mistake that these things were not in the evidence, it also said and left the door open that such evidence be submitted. So we are coming back with that evidence, and it's going to be quantum and legion.
So what about the first application on the enemy?
Well, that one too, it wasn't in the evidence that the Nigerian Medical Association has intervened. So it came as a surprise, but there's a short date given of 8 days for the NMA to submit its report. So somebody is ill, you know, I don't think NMA is going to change much of that. But I think the judge wanted to leave the record open to admit every possible evidence regarding this matter. But meantime, we are disappointed. Our client remains ill and remains detained, and we're not happy about that. His situation requires urgent and emergent care. So whatever the court says today does not mean that the government shall withdraw back. Just 2 days ago, I wrote a letter. A private hospital has also expressed readiness to admit him here in Abuja. For security reasons, I won't mention the name of the private hospital. But the government, if the government appears to have issues with taking him to the national hospital, we have given them an option of a private hospital also here in Abuja.
So it's safe to say that the application to be transferred to the national hospital was rejected?
Rejected? No, it's pending. Yes.
One other information.
It hasn't been rejected. It's pending. It's pending the admission of this report from the Nigerian Medical Association and the opinion of Nigerian Medical Association. And you know, if you were in court, the judge had ordered that the committee or panel to be considered by the Nigerian Medical Association shall have a member from the National Hospital. So National Hospital is still in play.
Thank you very much.
One other information, please. One other information. We are saying that the judge has no jurisdiction whatsoever to try Nnamdi KANU, because that particular issue of being a victim of extraordinary rendition must be determined, and that one will be whether they will be the one that will confer jurisdiction on the court. And the court said there is no evidence before him. No, we are going to supply evidence before him that Nnamdi KANU was extraordinary rendition. Then, having done that, there is no case to answer. So that you should go home with that. And if they fail to do otherwise, we will not see it as a war against the Igbos.
And just like you said, two sets of rules. One rule for the Igbos and one rule for every other Nigerian. This is a unique opportunity for Nigeria to be circumspect and look towards a political solution to this matter, and especially as it concerns high crime and criminality in the Southeast. So we are all disappointed, but God has not spoken yet. We will come back and show that the extraordinary rendition was indeed included in the submissions made to the court, and then the judge, like the barrister said, we will know whether he has jurisdiction or not. But for the Igbo people, this is your time to rise up and to speak up and to say enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Take care, man.
All right, have a good weekend. So that's correct. It's that the court belongs to the
because I'm not giving any details about Nnamdi KANU arrest. You know that the court in Kenya said that it was illegal for it to apply because he was illegally kidnapped and brought to Nigeria from Kenya.
Yes, the order didn't put his
The court said that they have to compensate Nnamdi KANU $100,000 $100,000. That was the submission. Therefore, we are seeing how the Igbos have been marginalized, how they have been treated in Nigeria. No, from the Igbo of the Southwest, when they charge him for such things, they only release him in a capturing in the Republic. They only release him. How they might for Nigeria. You will do something about Nnamdi KANU and put your name in gold and black. Calling for you. to it to the Igbos. I ever blame the Igbos. They were not serious people. They are looking forward to leading a country where they can be second-class citizens. I be one. Because what they are doing now is not so fair for your people. How the people are taking you as their leader, but however, you have turned your back against them. Why? Because you are benefiting from the country. The legality in the country, you are benefiting. So.
But suffice to say that today you have a country where there is no justice for all, where there cannot be anything for all, because we've not created or dared to evolve the idea of citizenship. That is the idea that can stand against the system that has been built. We have built, when I say we, because it has taken our acquiescence as victims to have erected this evil edifice that we have managed to build. The edifice we have managed to build is incompatible with the idea of citizenship. The idea of citizenship is incompatible with a space unruled by law. So here is what I am proposing. One, let us all understand that as much as we may care to want a better country, for as long as we continue to fight against this system that is found on inequality of citizens or members, we cannot have any ideal happening to us. It is only when we have the clarity that one must be equal to the other and all must be protected equally by the law, that is when you begin to build on the idea of citizenship. It is only the idea of citizenship that can prevail against the system that has been built on feudalism. Feudalism speaks to the acceptable non-equality of persons who live within a space. Nigeria is found on that. So one person must always be willing to accept to be unequal to those who operate the system. Without a willingness to accept inequality, you cannot have peace in a feudal state. What you have today is a caricaturized judiciary, which does not offer any hope to the common man. Until we come to the point where we all realize that it has to be a demand for the operation of the rule of law in the space that we have built, we will continue to wonder when. I have been around the world a little. I've been privileged to see a bit of it. And what I have found in my travels is that it is the idea of citizenship that underpins every society that has advanced. The Chinese do not have what you call democracy, but they are better served by their rulers than Nigerians who touted democracy have been served by theirs. It is the aggregation of the interest of the people and the pursuit of the interest of the majority without discountenancing the interest of the minority. That is what provides the basis for citizenship. When we have a state such as the one that we have evolved, where bandits, terrorists will sit in meetings with elected officials of state, traditional rulers, and bandits, armed bandits, would dictate peace terms to the state, and the same state would have the room to harass citizens who are asking for better government, confine citizens who have dared to demand that they be set free from the evil empire that we have managed to evolve. Make it make sense that there are persons such as Nnamdi KANU, for instance, in prison not by due process of law, because when trial has been extended beyond how many years, and then it doesn't, even the optic looks stupid. You're meeting bandits, armed ones, unrepentant. You're begging for peace. They are dictating terms. But the person who you say has called for armed insurrection against whose people you've deployed fighter jets. These fighter jets do not know their ways around the Kankara forest or Sambisa, but they can walk. It does not make sense. So when we begin to demand that these questions be asked of the state, these are not questions that are being asked as a partisan. These are questions being asked, and you can't even claim to be a patriot because there is no country commanding your patriotism. It is sick in the extreme to continue to believe that you can counter this system by engagement with it as though it were a system amenable to change. I am of the opinion that all of us must come to the knowledge of the fact that we are not dealing with partisan politics. We are dealing with issue of citizenship. These must move beyond the argument of I'm obedient, I am partified, I'm APC, I am revolutionary now. It doesn't matter. I don't care about your labels. What I care about is the substance of the issue, and the substance of the issue for me is that regardless of what you are, how you identify yourself, we are not citizens. Be enamored with the idea of citizenship to the point of desiring it, and the first basis of that is the right for you to vote. In the coming days, I have said this, and I think it is time that we also come to this understanding. We can talk from now till kingdom come. Nothing is going to change until we act. But we must also be deliberate about the actions that we take. I am of the opinion that the time has come to focus on building a broad-based pan-Nigerian movement that is found on a demand for citizenship and a respect for the rights of the Nigerian. This is not about what party you vote. You can go ahead and vote any party you care. But the idea of citizenship must be raised in direct confrontation against the idea of feudalism that governs Nigeria, and that is what has led us into this moment. If we are seen as citizens, no judge would dare to do the kind of things that have been done by our judiciary. 6 months, the judiciary had no pronouncement on emergency rule in Rivers State. If you have never seen a castrated judiciary before, you need not look any further than the Nigerian judiciary. And if the last hope of the common man be as comical, asinine, and useless as the Nigerian judiciary has become, then there is serious cause to understand that it is the system that has to be confronted. Why do I say this? All of us are creatures in time. Creatures in time. Last week I sang that song, Sheitoshi Oremi Ojonlo, do what you will, time is going. This week I sang, Bini Bata Iwa Sopola, when today is gone, they will say tomorrow. Tomorrow will not come one day. 20 years ago, a most brilliant Nigerian, one of the pillars of today's democracy, Chima Ubani, was violently snatched away from us. He's dead. Everything he did is today the source of legends. It is not by accident that the Nigerian state has never celebrated his like. If they will celebrate his like, you realize the lies they have told you about the likes of Tinubu fighting for democracy. But the relevance of the example I've just given is to let you understand very clearly that ideas outlive men. It is the ideas for which we live that endures. If we don't focus on the idea of citizenship to the point where it becomes something that the average Nigerian pursues with passion, understanding that it should move beyond partisanship, we will be mired in the mud that we found ourselves today, constantly bickering about ethnicity and constantly talking about religion. This morning, the totality of my preoccupation is to say to you, when will you come to the knowledge of the fact that it is the idea of citizenship that can take over and expel the evil that has overtaken us? In the absence of an idea to confront the evil, nothing would endure. Men will live and men will die. It is the ideas for which we live, the ideals by which we live our lives that would endure. So when I ask when, I was asking when would it be our time to rise as a people? When will there be water for all? And I'm not talking about floods in your home. When will there be qualitative education for all? When will there be power for all? When will there be justice for all? When will there be good roads for all? When would Nigeria rise above its many contrived limitations? The only time that happens is when we embrace the idea of citizenship. The idea of citizenship is what makes you work for the common good. When you translate that properly, what it speaks to is the poverty of private wealth. In pursuit of our personal comfort and wealth, every one of us have become impoverished. The idea of citizenship, the very idea of it, when we embrace that, it becomes the antidote for the madness that we have embraced. There is a young man who is doing wonderful work across the length and breadth of Nigeria. And I speak to Peter Aka, Randy Peter. He speaks constantly to the idea of electoral reform. I mean, that gave me 110%, even though I despair. But whilst we may despair, and whilst we may disagree, it is never going to happen that anything will change simply because we don't agree. It is not enough to declare yourself to be disagreeable. You must come up with ideas that advances you beyond your disagreement. My belief is that the idea of citizenship pursued corporately is what will save all of us. If you're asking when will not happen until when you've embraced the idea that only citizenship found on the rule of law can deliver a democracy where your votes would count and where you can then proceed. I toyed with the idea of resting my lectures today. I toyed with the idea because I've come to the knowledge of the fact that sometimes it comes across as an unsolicited, thankless job. But I remind myself, some years back, I wrote a piece. I said, I do not write for you. It was at the peak of my frustration with the seemingly intractable nature of our crisis, as if it would never stop, nothing would ever change. And then I found a new lease of life when I decided that I'll make my preachments more or less testimonies against the obdurate generation that I have had to endure. So when I began to toy with the idea of not speaking, at least taking some time off, it struck me. I would be succumbing to despair, and I would have allowed my enemies to triumph, which is not something that appeals to me. I like the idea of irritating those who are unhappy with me. It gives me pleasure to irritate them. So, yeah, I am not going to rest my sermons. Those of you who are unhappy with it, bully for you. I I enjoy the sound of my own voice. And I'm sure that to an extent, I still have something to say to those who will hear. And even if you are not hearing, I know a generation is coming who will pour over these videos in the search for a way out of the madness. I'm done with this week. Yorùbá will say àbọ̀rọ̀ and sọ fọ́mọlúwàbí. Tó bá débẹ̀, àdòdìdì. Half a word is enough for the wise. I thank God for the privilege of life, and the capacity to speak. I will not be silenced until I am silent. The more I pondered it, the more I realized that by Thursday, the only thing that kept reverberating in my head was when. We've said all these things ad nauseum. I have this habit of asking my PA to repost my old posts. And from time to time, there is usually a reluctance because there is a boring monotony to repeating the same post over and over. So I had occasion to explain to her, and I'm taking the time to explain this to you as well, so that you might begin to understand the basis for my exertions this morning. By Thursday or Friday, by Friday, I gave her my topic and I said when. And in saying when, I was speaking from the depths of my despair about multiple things. One, the passage of time. Because we have this tendency to believe that time would solve Nigeria's problem. But what I have found is that time has not solved Nigeria's problem. Time has compounded Nigeria's problems. What has happened is that over time, evil appears to have triumphed. And because evil appeared to have triumphed, it is easy to despair when you have been hopeful about a better outcome for the country. So when I was asking when, it was when would we ever become? When would this hope of a better country ever materialize? When would we dare to be better than we've pretended to be? So all these were running through my head, and I gave that position, that question, when. That was my topic. And then this morning, as I began, because after having picked the topic, I had been hard pressed to now begin to think through and put some flesh to the question, when. So this morning, I did what I would usually do. Early morning, I didn't go to bed until about 1:30 or thereabouts. So I went through my Facebook memory for the day, exactly, since it was a new day. And then a year ago, I found that the lecture I delivered a year ago to the date was a Sunday. It was titled The Urgency of Now. I ask you to go take a look, because I remember that what prompted that sermon was my belief that we had already wasted too much time. So I spoke to the urgency of now. I also imagined that the death of my leader, about Shino Sherubawo, made the urgency of time even more important in my consciousness at the time I was giving the lecture. And I said the urgency of now. So I spoke to the urgency of now at that time. And then I looked further down my memory and I found an interview I granted to News Central, Mr. Akintemi. Exactly a year ago I posted it, and one of the things I said very clearly is that every lone voice is a failed voice, and there must be a chorus before we may all be saved. And then I looked further and I found that 2 years ago I posted this. I said, myopic idiots have been ruining Nigeria from the beginning of its sorry existence. But Buhari has managed to do what nobody else has ever done before. He has normalized criminal impunity and installed a career criminal in the presidency. I don't know why they are chasing Yele around today. That was 2 years ago. And then in the same 3 years ago, let me say 4 years ago, I said there is a great nation trapped inside the abomination that is called Nigeria. It is large enough for all the ethnicities and religiosities currently destroying Nigeria, and it is blessed enough to accommodate all.
The tragedy of Nigeria is appalling. Watch and take a look at these things. And subscribe to my channel on Abraham on YouTube. Thank you and God bless you.